So continuing with the today's deliberations, we talked about one important stakeholder in the overall healthcare ecosystem are the industry solution providers, and we have now a couple of presentations from industry solution providers. Just one request to all the speakers that we are running behind schedule, and to make up time, I will just request each of you to stick to the allocated time. My pleasure now to call on stage Praveena Gundiah, Commercial Director of Iron Mountain India. She was in the inauguration, and now we would like to hear more about what Iron Mountain is doing in India, especially vis-a-vis healthcare. Over to you, Praveena.
Thank you, everyone, and nice to come back again. Though I see a lot of people are getting hungry and must be waiting for the lunch to start. I'll quickly run through my presentation. You must have heard me in the earlier session where I spoke about very briefly on what we do. What I plan to do just now is take you through a little bit more detail about how we are working on the healthcare sector and what is it that we are doing with hospitals and with other companies in this sector. So before I start off with, I have a short video, and that video really encompasses everything about Iron Mountain, and I hope it'll cheer you up and bring you up, wake you up a little bit to brighten things up. So I have the video here, so if somebody can play that, please.
Deep in an iron mine in upstate New York, Iron Mountain was founded with a single goal: finding an innovative way to protect vital information and providing our customers with peace of mind by proving we understand what they value most. Security is still the cornerstone of our business, but today, it's about a lot more than securing information. It's about transforming physical and digital content, unlocking meaningful business value, and deeper insight for our customers, faster and more effectively. By discovering what matters most and leveraging the full potential in an overwhelming flood of data. And introducing creative, cutting-edge technologies like AI and machine learning that turn today's data challenges into tomorrow's business advantages. We're also securing a better future for our planet, significantly lowering greenhouse gas emissions through facility efficiency standards, and an unwavering commitment to green energy use across our organization, and helping customers achieve their own emissions goals, certifying that their information is securely stored in data centers powered by 100% renewable energy, ensuring the disposal of their retired IT assets is handling in a manner that minimizes waste and reduces their carbon footprint. Safeguarding assets, uncovering insights, transforming business, and helping to shape a better world. Iron Mountain.
Thank you very much for that. So we are pretty much the data and information partner to the world. So we heard a lot of speakers previously. We had people from the National Health Authority. We had the union. We had the minister from Uttarakhand. We also had the lady from Haryana government. We had so many people talking about what all is happening in the healthcare market, especially in India today. And there's really so much that we need to be proud about. So if we all think about it, we are number one in the vaccine production globally today. And it was during COVID that really the world sat up and took notice of what's happening in India. The number of people that we have the largest number of people, but in spite of all that, COVID was handled so beautifully in India. We also started supplying vaccine to the world, and that was something that all of us really need to be proud about. Again, in terms of generic medication, we are again number one. I'm sure all of you know about these statistics, but I'm just bringing it up once again to say that there's so much that's happening in this world and in India today. And it's not just the government, it's not just the private sector. Everybody together is working to make this happen. We had the gentleman from Sweden also interested. We had it. Health tourism is a 6 billion market in India today. What that really says, it's not just look behind the revenues. Our doctors are so good that there are people coming in from all the different countries to get treated over here. So that's something that we are again proud of. 80 billion biotech market. So the gentleman from Sweden was talking about how he's interested in R&D. And our scientists here are less than none. We are having so many people in science. They are filing patents, and all that is fueling innovation today. So India really has what it takes to be a global superpower in the world. Healthcare today is not just another sector. All of us are here because it is a large revenue driver for us companies. Also, in terms of employment, it is one of the largest employer today in India today. It's a big sector. Government too is doing so much in this sector. We heard about Dr. Garg over here, who was previously there in the panel with me, and he was speaking about Ayushman Bharat. That's a game changer. We heard about the ABHA number, we heard about the claim, how claims will be processed. We heard about how digital first is the thought, and they want to change the entire landscape of the healthcare sector. It's mind blowing about what things is happening over here. Telemedicine, a lot of people have touched upon these. And what you see over here are statistics. These are not my numbers. These are numbers that I have got from the Invest India portal, and I'm sure all of you are familiar with it. But all this is really saying the fueling the engine of healthcare is happening. Telemedicine, 100 million consultations. So if you just think about the numbers, and that's why companies like Iron Mountain are so interested. The numbers are just something that is beyond compare. 45% increase in total investment in healthcare. 150 Ayushman Bharat health and wellness centers. So just think about how much is happening. Now, like all of us also know, along with health, along with all the growth that happens, there are some challenges that come with it. Some of the challenges, you must have seen all these challenges in newspapers at different times. Compliance is not just a word now, it goes beyond regulatory issues. We know about big data analytics challenges. Now all the big IT companies are getting into data analytics, and we know the challenges that are there. We also know rogue nations are now getting into cyber attacks and how they are looking at data to get ransomware attacks on these. We know about pharma and security. There were so many such incidents that happened during security, or some of them happened in India as well. We know about all this. So data and data security is now becoming more and more important, especially when we have patient data, especially when we have financial data that goes along with all the patient data. When people are clearing all their bills, there is financial transactions that are happening. So it is more important to be aware of all the problems that are there. Clinical trials, data management trials and clinical. So when you're doing all these trials, how do you draw analytics from all this data? It's not just enough to meet the patients to get all the form fill. You need to get analytics out of all that. So how is it possible to do that? Mergers and acquisitions, it's something that's happening in India too. Mergers and acquisition brings with its own challenges. You need to have a similar way of record management. If it is happening across different geographics, then there has to be, need to know the regulations around all these different countries, and you need to know how data security also is important in these cases. So with all this happening around the world, threat of ransomware and cyber attack. So like we spoke about, companies now need to understand about how they are managing the data. It's not just enough to just take your records and put it somewhere. And we've seen, and this happens not just in India, in anywhere in the world, there are just stored in gunny bags, they are stored in small godowns, they are stored all over the places. So this is not a right way of doing with all these kind of attacks. ESG goals, we had the Schneider lady over here speak about ESG goals. More and more companies have their own ESG policy. So what are we doing about these ESG policy? So it is companies who are partnering with the other vendors who have a similar vision, who have a similar investment in ESG. That's when it makes sense to take the ESG across to the whole world. Punishment for data breaches, it's no longer that happens to somebody else. All of us know of some companies who have had data breaches, who have had punishments, and we need to be more careful about that. Again, on the R&D front, you have people working on so many different assets. We all have our own phones, we all have our own laptops, but does anybody realize the amount of data that's sitting on those laptops? Does anybody realize that if this laptop has to be recycled, then what happens? Anybody can open the laptop and get the data out of it. So if you are in a place where you need to recycle or upcycle the laptop, you have to be careful about the data that needs to be wiped out and ensure that the laptop doesn't go into a landfill. It has to be recycled in a sustainable way. That's something that we do as well. And need to adhere to complex regulations across the globe. So you need to know, you work with a partner who knows policies all across the world. And that's when you can have somebody who you can rely on. That is where we come in. Iron Mountain, like I just spoke, is the largest company in the world in record storage and management in the information management space. It's a $5 billion company based out of US. We have over 230,000 customers worldwide. More than 65 countries we operate in, and we know policies across all these 65 countries, which is why we said that we could help you in anywhere that you want to go in any of these countries. We work with customers. What's more, we bring across best practices from all these different countries to a particular sector. So if there is a certain way that banking is doing business or healthcare is doing business in US, in UK or any other place, we can bring it to any other country, and vice versa too. What has recently started happening is that our CEO, for example, makes trips over here 6 times a year. He comes to India and he learns from Indian companies about how we are changing the world in a digital space. All the innovation that you saw over here happening doesn't happen anywhere else. It is India first digital that is driving business, and we are taking innovation from here, making products especially from India and taking it across to the world. 95% of the Fortune 1000 customers are our customer, and we have more than 94 million square feet of records stored everywhere. Now, if you get a sense of the amount of records that is stored, 94 million, that's the amount of paper that we store. So we started off as a paper records company, and we have moved to now transform the records and the business from a more physical part of the business to a digital way. Just like all companies over here are transitioning from a more physical to a digital way of working, we work with all these companies and transform the paper into a digital way and make it into a more readable format and draw analytics from the digital data. That's the mainline business we do. We say we protect your data. We are known for protecting your data. We can help you unlock the value of the data, and we can then transform your business into a completely digital way of working. This is what Iron Mountain does for a living. This is what Iron Mountain has been doing for 70 years. I myself have been, I'm one of the few dinosaurs, I can say, who has been in this company for 20 years, and we have been doing this for 20 years. So we know everything about storing data, we know everything about transforming data, and that's our core business. We can help you. If there's any requirement on this front, we can help you with this. This is India, so it's not just the US that we are known for. In India, is that my time up? Okay, do I have 5 minutes more? Sorry, if there are any, if I hear somebody, a gentleman saying yes, so I'll just do a quick run. India, we have 80 facilities, and the amount of paper, it's 27 crore pieces of paper that we store, and that many pieces of paper that we manage. So we know everything about data. That's the brief message that I want to leave. Anywhere in India, even places like Guwahati, Bhubaneswar, wherever anybody has a hospital, you want to manage data, we can do it for you. So we start, the base of the pyramid is storage. We start by storing. We have co-location data centers, and right from paper records to transforming to co-location data centers. We can manage end to end. But the beauty of it is not just the storage part. We have tools that help you digitize. We have tools that with the AI and ML software help you transform and pick up key analytics from there. That's the key feature that we have. Okay, so it is right from identify the records. So what's the whole digital journey about? Identify the records, digitize the records, store it in a way that is easily accessible. So you can pull out the Aadhaar number, the account number, whatever number you want, automate. And more importantly, so if there is a hospital that wants to pick up key fields, like say Praveena, what is her BP, what is her sugar, and what was her age, and what happened to her. You want to pick up this key field and just read those key fields instead of reading 300 pages of the case history. We can do that for you. So this is through IDP, through intelligent data processing. We can pick up terms for you, give it in a form that is readable to your nurses, to your junior doctors, to your doctor, so they don't waste time in flicking pages. This is the main business that we are into. Okay. I have a few case studies. One of the biggest one that we worked with was on the NHS. NHS, as you know, is the UK healthcare system. They had over 2,000 hospitals. They had a huge lot of paper. And when we think about it, there were papers stored in even their bathrooms and toilets. It had come to a stage where there was no place to walk. All the steps were filled with paper. It was becoming a fire hazard. People had no clue about what was sitting in the paper, what was the patient's record all about. It was a complete mess. That's when we came in. We sorted all the paper, digitized it, and now they have access to everything just at the tips of their fingers. This is one case study, and it tells you about the scale of processing. This is about a hospital in the US. Now, the hospital had a unique challenge. The hospital had a policy that it would take a certain type of patients, and like you know that there was a competition to get the business of the patients as much as possible. So the nurses would spend over 5 hours in reading all the paper and deciding whether the patient was worth taking to the hospital. It was a hospice kind of care. It was an old people kind of a care where the terminally ill patients would get admitted. So the nurses would spend 4 or 5 hours to decide whether they could take the patients, whether they could manage the health of the patient while they got admitted over there. So this hospital came to us because they were losing business. It was taking them 5 hours to sort through the whole data. What we did then was ran this through our tool. Our tool is called Insight. We ran it through our tool. It classified the data based on the certain parameters that I'm talking about. So like the patient name, his history, his age, his brief illness. It gave all the data in a tabular Excel sheet format. So what was then taking 5 hours for the patient to go through, she then started making her decisions based on the data in just about half an hour. You can imagine the time that was saved. hospitals then, this hospital then saw a spurt in business because they were started getting patients much faster than they were doing. This is what we call intelligent data processing. Okay. So it is about unstructured data, delayed decision, operational inefficiencies, and about the resources used. All this is then analyzed into ingest, automate, unlock, and store. This is the complete way that it works. So that's all I have today. So it's not just about storage, it's not just about information, it is about how you manage the information. Elevate the power of your work, and that's Iron Mountain. Thank you.
Thank you, Praveena.